Take you now to eThekwini. My colleague Mawande Keswa is following the story of student protests at UNISA in Durban. Joining us now this lunchtime. Mawande, good afternoon. Good afternoon. We've seen very calm scenes of protest in and around Johannesburg by VET students and also by University of Johannesburg students, although of course they are blocking a number of intersections on some of the main roads and police observing them, monitoring the situation. What is it like in Durban?
Oh, Praden, it's a picture that is much like the pictures that you have just described. Students at UNISA today were pretty much the first and the only group to actually take to the streets. A few hours ago, they started protesting just outside the UNISA campus here in Durban, which is behind me. And they made their way through the city center and ended up at the city hall. It was quite a peaceful protest as well, I must say. They were ushered by police throughout their march to the city hall, and we were also just behind them. There were no incidents of violence whatsoever. They did block the road with a couple of rocks initially, and they did make it clear to the police, saying that if they feel in any way under threat or intimidated, they will retaliate. I did see some of the leaders having a conversation with the police, at which point I then saw them throwing away the rocks that they had in their hands, and police started removing some of the rubble that was on the streets. From then onwards, it was a flowing march, and they ended up at the city hall.
And what do they do when they go to the city hall?
It was pretty much singing and dancing, and also just chanting to some of the grievances that they have. We were able to speak to some of those students, and these are the issues that they cited.
I have been forced by the arrogant display of management to go to the streets. Since there's a national shutdown, we must be clear that UNISA, in particularly KZN, has been shut from Thursday, addressing the very same demands, because the institution has not been taking students serious. Students are being victimized by the negligence and the arrogant system that is being posed by the university. So we are saying we are taking it to the streets, and we will remain in the streets up until our demands are met. Irregardless of whether the national shutdown will be called off tomorrow, but as UNISA KZN, we will remain in the streets up until our demands are met.
We'll remain in the streets until our demands are met. That's a sentiment in Durban. Mawande, we got a similar view from Cape Town earlier. Ronald Masinda speaking to a student member of the ANC Youth League. And also that's a sentiment that Sindela Masigane and Mangoba Mtunu, both of them here in Johannesburg, have managed to get from students, although many of them here in Johannesburg don't want to be interviewed by the media today. Your sense in Durban, you said not many students pitched, but some did, marching from where you are to the City Hall and back. Do you know if they are planning to hit the road again tomorrow?
Well, the situation is quite complex, Praten, and I'll explain why. So you've got a number of institutions, and from my discussions with the SRC at UKZN, they have decided to put their plans on hold for that national shutdown, or for them to be part of it this week. One of the issues they cited was the passing of His Majesty King Goodwill Zwelithini. They also cited that there are a number of meetings and discussions that they need to be part of or undertake before they can then decide on which day. It's a similar situation at DUT as well. Now, when it comes to UNISA, they decided to take to the streets now, saying that they are in solidarity with the rest of the country, or students in the rest of the country. But what they have confirmed is that they will indeed take to the streets, and this time it will be different. They won't necessarily protest in front of the institutions and so forth. They will actually go to the Durban city center. So what we can expect at some point this week is for them to stand by that promise, as you've also heard that they will take to the streets once again. As to when it will be, it is not yet clear, but we will be monitoring that situation and paying close attention to make sure that when they do take to the streets, we are there with them to give you all of the coverage.
What a calm situation. Mawande Keswa, thank you very much for that lunchtime update.